Who's in the other league?
The other league,
Yeah.
NLCS, or no, yeah, the national league.
National. Yeah, who's in that championship game?
The Braves and the Dodgers. They're playing against each other. And the Braves are up 2-0. So if they win 2 more, then they go to the World Series. The Dodgers need to win 4 more. And so Dodgers most likely are going to lose.
I'll jump on the Brave bandwagon. That was my team growing up, even though I didn't watch.
Also in football, the Cowboys quarterback got injured really badly.
Oh, Dak Prescott.
I don't really watch football much, but I want to sign up for it like soon. Just flag. Maybe I might do tackle soon, but I've never played football before. I know I kind of know how to play. I know like what to do with it.
Peyton's playing. Whoa. According to his daddy, he got pancake last. See, you got pancaked according to your dad. I mean, not pancakes the right form, but you got laid out. Yeah, on one of the catches or something like that. I can't remember. It's like last week or week before.
No. I remember we got hit. We got hit with once.
Hey, Jess. Do. Do. Anything new and exciting happening? We're all.
I already said that.
Huh?
I think I already said that.
Oh. I have noticed that my bangs are not as long as the rest of my hair. It was all the same length when Jennifer cut it last. So should all grow out the same length. But it did not.
Maybe this is curlier than the rest.
I guess. I had a weird dream
Wow.
that I had a really curly facial hair, like really long and really curly facial hair.
Are you serious?
It was nerve-wracking. I broke down in the middle of it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to make it either.
Well,
Yeah, I'm embarrassed myself and everybody. And everybody's like, what did I say? I said, "You look pretty good." And they're crying for half of it.
man, that's a big old face. What'd you do that?
He's very bad. Right on his shoes, right across from my dad, actually. Like, there's a street, and then on the right is entry, and then on the left, Sid pulls up and hits on the left. No, right is my dad. So after, you know, with the big canopy thing, you know, I was like, alright. So I was having so many different flashbacks, and I was arguing with my sister. I watched them hold my dad's flag, my grandpa's flag. It was just all hitting me in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I just like I was already crying, but I didn't think I'd cry. And I was walking back, and I just like punched the car and it was fun.
What the car did you use?
I was mad and upset. Like, I didn't like punch it hard.
Did you hurt the car? Did you scratch the car with your ring?
No, actually. It wasn't like
I
a.
don't care about your hand.
It's a new car.
Right.
I didn't like full on like punch it. I like leaned forward and like my hand, I like hit my hands on it first. Type thing. It wasn't, like, a
Statistics.
full on, like, left hook.
I have never, I hear people talk about like punching a wall and punching a door.
I wouldn't punch that.
I've never done it to where it actually like broke my hand.
Right.
How can you even punch you?
I punched walls.
No.
Did you break your hand?
No, this is the only bone I've ever broken.
40 years and it's the only bone you broke.
I was knocking on the wall and it seemed pretty hard to me.
Did you hit the stud?
Not me.
I don't know.
I'm late today because I was on the phone with 2 new therapists. Harry, I'm all excited.
Cool.
There's
I
a
was here at 6:40, but we were waiting in the car.
Air conditioning, what's air conditioning? Waiting for someone to come unlock the door.
yeah.
We're still working on that.
I'm not sure my grandma's house, so we're up to like 6:50.
Do 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 do. Do do do. Hello, King Leonidas. How are you? No, well, I am, but I'm not in a class or anything.
Okay. Did you talk to Larry? Y'all talk about somebody preaching in a couple of weeks? Or did Larry get somebody else to do it?
At Northwest? Not that I know of. I didn't hear the final verdict on it.
Okay, I just want to check with you.
Yeah, I haven't heard.
Okay,
So,
I'll let you get back to work then.
I know, working hard.
Oh, wait, lots of good comments about last night.
Good.
Somebody's like, when's that puppet video gonna be up? I'm like, well, it's not exactly a puppet video, but, we'll have the whole thing up later, so.
You were known for puppets.
Well, it didn't help that. So we had a seminar last night that Steven and I were a part of for all the children's videos and things that we were doing. And instead of us being in the first scene, we had the puppets up there. So all they saw was puppets.
So, I don't know how familiar you guys are with webinars. David and the president of the university, they conducted the whole thing, so they had interviews with a bunch of different people who you call panelists. So people who were interviewed and they are kind of in front for everyone to see on a Zoom call. So if you're an attendant, you come in, you can watch everything, but you're not visible. You can type in the chat and ask questions. But Kenneth and I are up there as a panelist. So we're up there ready to answer questions and whatnot. And as we're all getting interviewed, all that they see are two puppets come up on screen for a university webinar. Yeah.
That's how we
That's how
roll.
we roll. But it was pretty cool.
Go ahead. I don't think you heard my dream this morning. So, you know how like crazy long the hair is up here on my head,
Yes. I'm
Like-
aware.
flowing long curly locks. I had a dream that I woke up with this type of hairstyle on my face. So it was like curling in and all over I was like,
That's a sign you need to take care of it before it gets out of control. That's
no,
a sign.
not a sign,
That is a sign.
not a sign.
You're gonna keep it growing until junior comes?
Yes,
Why?
yes.
You're not gonna have time when junior gets here. Then Jen will have to cut it because you won't have time to go to the barber.
That's my whole scheme.
Your scheme is to get her to cut your hair?
No, that I wait until we have no time.
That's a very good plan.
That way we can all just let it grow. I don't, this is probably, I can't remember the last time I got it, before COVID. So I got it cut in December. And I don't think,
There's video proof of when you got your hair cut. Because week by week, you can see it growing, and then all of a sudden, one
Jumped
week,
off.
It was,
yeah, I was trying to think, like, I think I got it cut December. And then I didn't get it cut again. I'm trying to think when when was the last time I went to the barber? I think I went to one this year. I know I went to one last year in December.
how often do you guys get your hair cut? Every month.
Oh,
Never.
about every 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay. I mean, with shorter hair, you go more often, you keep it cut trim. What, you like every quarter?
It's been like that. When I was in the Army, it was usually about once a month. I get cut, maybe a little bit earlier than that. When I was in school, it was a lot earlier than that.
I think Aaron, most girls, what, every 3 months,
No.
give or take?
The last time I cut my hair was in March, like March 1st, but I did it myself. So,
I don't know the last time Jennifer went to get her hair cut.
I told myself I wasn't gonna cut my hair again until at least this entire school year.
Wow.
Because my hair currently is really healthy, so it doesn't look like I have dead ends and noise.
I had a sweeping statement at a Devo last year or the year before last. I think it was the year before last. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to cut my hair or shave my face for an entire year. I
You
remember that.
made the shaving your face for what, about 4 months?
Pretty close.
I remember that, because that was just getting,
I know.
catchy.
It still is, but I've trimmed it. So I'll trim it every so often. I'll trim it so to see if this is starting to come in, and it is. It's all blonde. I saw.
You sound like me, you're trying to convince yourself that it's getting thicker.
I saw a video. It was the dumbest thing ever. I don't know why any guy would do it. And of course, I'm not saying a respecting guy because look at my crazy facial hair. But they use women's makeup. I can't remember exactly what kind to pat it on their facial hair to make it look darker, like foundation type thing on your face to make you, or like powder. I don't know. On your
Like
face.
add facial hair to you?
Not yet, to make like to because right now all this is kind of like
So
blonde.
my follow-up question is, how did that come across your video, suggested videos? Or
It was no. Okay,
I'm
so
sure you didn't search for this.
no, I did not. Because I thought it
How
was
to make my facial hair thicker.
because I was like, this is just I'm never doing that. But on Facebook, right now all I do on Facebook mostly is I'll go to the notifications because I hate having all those notifications up there. So I'll just tap them just to get it, just eliminate them.
Yeah.
And then all the videos that are there, they'll take me to like a watch later or the watch page of Facebook. And I'm like, whatever. And that was one of the videos that popped up, something about like fashion tips for men or something like that. And that was one of, I just started like, I was like, When I saw that, I was like, no, not happening. Aren't y'all curious is what we're talking about?
Yes.
As well as
I heard men's fashion tips and I tuned out.
as well as my two who are watching now. Probably
So
me.
Kenneth has apparently been watching videos on how to make his facial hair look thicker. And one involves putting Lay's foundation makeup.
Some type of makeup. I don't know.
Eyebrow pencil?
No.
That makes it look like that was gonna grow.
The eyeliner.
It just makes it look like you have more facial hair. Just makes the facial hair
Search for it.
it makes the facial hair that you have dark.
That's his story. And
Like how Aaron's Facebook is, like a bunch of random stuff.
oh my gosh, her Amazon searches are the fun.
There was like this one with the like
Oh, they're just
turtle unicorn thing. It was like,
the squirrel pants
yeah.
up there.
Who's Aaron's? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So on Facebook, it'll come across and give you suggestions of things that you might be interested in. And there's a line that has all Amazon stuff. Her stuff is the craziest, out of the world. Where did this stuff even get invented? And it comes up on hers routinely.
That's weird. Maybe it's like something. It's like every 2 days she posts it.
No way. No.
No, it's just stuff that you search for. That's really where it comes
up
from.
with some algorithm like, hey, you bought something so entirely random. Let's give this a shot. Let's try to move it off the shelf.
So YouTube does the same thing. And when my niece was in town, she watched on my YouTube a ton of Barbie videos, like little girls playing Barbie. Oh, it was awful. And there's these crazy songs. One of them, I showed Steven this video. They're building something and they make a seesaw. And the song that she sings is seesaw up and down, seesaw up and down. And so all the things that are now on my YouTube for suggested videos, from Barbies to lawn care to engine stuff. Crazy.
I gotta find one and post. She'll take screenshots and then repost it.
Yeah.
That could be one of the, I don't know how the algorithms work.
That could be like a factor of it that lets you repost it.
Anytime I can.
Do, 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 do.
Exactly.
Is that a pen
Alright.
dispenser?
No, it's a
For
squirrel.
like a real life.
It's basically a squirrel feeder. So the squirrel puts his head up into it to get the food,
Wait,
and
what?
it looks like,
Oh,
A dinosaur?
no,
Unicorn.
A unicorn.
Squirrel feeder.
Yeah.
I bet that.
There's actually, there's an actual video. He's a YouTuber, Mark Roper, who's like a NASA,
Transformer.
huh?
With a G, not a P.
Roger.
Is it Roger?
No idea.
I don't know. Anyways, he had one. Well, he's like a really smart guy, but he created
The squirrel one?
the squirrel video. This Roper,
Watch that one.
where he basically made a
It's just like a finger puppet. People buy that.
he made a squirrel American Ninja Warrior course in the backyard.
People buy that. Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. It was quite elaborate.
Yeah. And then he made a glitter bomb.
No, it's with a B. Roper.
That's what I was saying.
You were saying Roper with a P.
So it's apparently.
It is a P.
something
It's a B.
you
Oh,
put
B.
into a pool or something so the frog can get out.
Rober.
We don't own a pool.
Even for the
Why?
That's so weird.
Why would it come up on her search engine? Random.
Are you good?
Leashes for a guinea pig.
Why are they all for like animals?
Don't know.
What did she buy?
But
But
We have 2 dogs.
it very likely could
They're
be
children. That's plenty of pets.
Hannah and Harper searching things, and it also could
A
be
leash for an iguana. Why?
Who walks their iguana?
Who walks their iguana?
Why wouldn't you walk my one?
That's the better question.
Don't you know that iPhones and stuff, they listen to you?
Yeah. If you say something, it just picks up on it. Gives you mad.
Big brother's watching.
Cool.
That's fine.
always watching.
Oh my God. Hey, Siri.
So, Steven, what was your first cell phone?
I'll tell you my first.
Probably, what was it, the Nokia? It
It
wasn't even a flip phone, it was just a
like this
Nokia.
tiny.
Mine was pink and it lit up.
Really? Mine's just black.
Was it 700 or?
It was like one of the.
I don't.
I could probably
Like a
Google
flip
search it.
phone? Yeah.
Old
It was nice.
Nokia
I didn't
cell phone.
I can't remember which one I had. The popular one was the Nokia phone 331 or the 3000 series.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because then you call my kids.
That was the popular cell phone back in the day, where we didn't have a touch screen. We actually had to type in and hit numbers. Yep.
And then like
Did you ever have the Motorola Razr?
Yes,
I did too.
I think that was my first flip phone. Actually. It was like all cool because it was thinner than other stuff.
Yeah. It was in 2014 was when I first got an iPhone.
My favorite was my phone that actually had the slide out keyboard.
That was mine.
I loved that.
That
Yeah.
was my uncle's first
What
phone.
is this?
Not no school, not school.
I still have
It was
it actually in a
red.
drawer at home.
You could, it didn't have touch screen. You
I used to
had a
always
big
show his
screen,
phone and hide
and
it.
you flip it and slide the keyboard.
Those were
Yep.
so cool. I wanted one of those so bad.
I think I have one.
Just banging.
Or I had one that was thick, but it like flipped out, and there was a keyboard on the underside. I think that's the one I had. I don't know if I had the sliding one. I can't remember.
Isn't there one where like you take like the top part of the phone and you pull it out, flip it, and then push it back down? That was the first
Oh,
one I
there was
had.
something,
There's one where it like
Yeah.
it was a flip phone that you flipped all the way over, and you could turn it sideways and had a double keyboard. I never saw it. Never had it.
mine's the entire phone slid
Yeah.
like half of it.
Yeah. I really like I like the
All right.
BlackBerry.
Never had a BlackBerry.
My mom did for work. I used to play games on electric pop in the morning.
Where's my battery, Dad?
What?
on the charger.
What are you talking about?
So we'll go ahead and get started. Got a few. Well, we're like 20 minutes past time. We're supposed to start. All right, so we're continuing our series on heroes of faith, and I'm trying to make the lessons stand out and make sure that they're not the exact same application for every single lesson, even though you can make this every single lesson that we're doing at the same application point. Why was Abraham a great hero of faith? Well, he trusted in God. Why was David a great hero of faith when he went up to Goliath? He trusted in God. And just you can have that same throughout all the lessons, all the application points. So we're trying to make it a little bit different, more applicable, and trying to help you guys understand different characteristics and things throughout Scripture. But before we get into the lesson this evening, a couple things kind of to start off with. There is a Devo Sunday night. We're going to start it at 6. Probably run 6 to 6:30, 6 to 8:30, and kind of eat before you come.
And I did get a confirmation email that they've shipped.
Awesome. So we're gonna eat before you come. We'll have a Devo. We'll have some special game. You'll have to come and check it out. Steve and I have come up with a. No, I really wish. I really wish that we could have enough space for a slip and slide kickball game.
I played that.
A slip and slide kickball? It's like the best game ever.
Yeah,
No,
but
never
like
played that.
the rule was you had to slide into
game
each
is-
base.
Yeah.
But you couldn't just like.
You know, at the Hicks Stadium, you would got a little baseball slip and slide field, t-ball field?
No.
Ever seen that?
No.
They do.
Slip in the bait where the base is swimming pools.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun.
I played with Ryan when we were like 10 and 8.
It's so much fun. But anyway, so yeah, Steve and I have an interesting game, and if it's a total bomb, blame Steven. It was all his idea. And if we need to, we'll come up with something else. But anyway, Sunday 6:30. Eat before you come. We'll have a Devo and then have some games afterwards. So on that note, I ask the same question every single week. Let's see if I can get some answers. What is faith? Yes, Leonidas.
Confidence.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody want to elaborate on it?
A conviction of things unseen.
Yeah, there you go. Anybody else? Do what?
The assurance of things hoped for.
Assurance of things hoped for, conviction of things not seen. That's straight out of Hebrews 11:1. And it is a confidence when you look at those words. conviction, confidence in things that you can't physically see, the assurance, the knowledge of things that will happen or take place, something that you're looking forward to. All of those things wrap up in what is faith. And I hope that these lessons have been, encouraging, maybe a little challenging. It's hard to say, mostly because it's coming from me. But anyways, I hope that you've gotten some lessons out of this, some information out of it. Today we're going to look at Esther, and here's a little trivia, little side note, little something for you to take home and tell your mom and dad. How often is God mentioned in the book of Esther? Okay, we have a
multiple choice.
okay. We'll say 0, 5, 10, 20. You want me to do the Jeopardy music too?
I'm gonna stick with
I was originally thinking 0, but we have
Five.
multiple choice.
5, because like all the other ones were like thinking about like, oh, what number?
He's looking up to the left a lot.
Yeah. So like I'm gonna say like either 5 or 10.
Why is looking off the
Because like you
That's
have to
when you
think
tell-
of what
You had
number.
to come up with
You
a
access
number.
the creative part of your brain. That's how they interrogators tell when people are lying.
0?
Big brain.
0. God is not mentioned at all in the 10 chapters of Esther. It's not, and there's no variation. There's no Lord. There's no God. He's not mentioned at all in this book. And it's interesting to see, kind of as you go through the whole entire book of Esther. There's a lot of information. Like, we know the story of Esther. Okay, we if you've grown up in the church, which most of us have, we kind of understand the story of Esther. We'll talk a little bit. We'll explain the story, but Esther and the characters in the book, they're not really good role models. They didn't really adhere to the laws of the Old Testament. For reasons that you can see in the text. One of them was Jews were not supposed to marry Gentiles, and Esther ends up marrying a Gentile, mostly because they were in exile when this occurred, and he was king, and they kind of picked her and made her queen. We also see that there is a lot of drunkenness in the text, not necessarily with Esther and Mordecai, but there is a drunk king who is kind of wishy-washy and kind of goes with the flow. And so there's a lot of characteristics in the book of Esther that really we shouldn't imitate, but there are some things that kind of pull out from the text. So tonight, kind of what the idea behind what we're supposed to be getting out of and what we're talking about is showing how Esther had great faith in unprecedented times. How many of us would say that 2020 has been unprecedented? Anybody care to explain personally why and how 2020 has been unprecedented? Yeah.
We didn't get to go to camps or retreats or anything.
Okay. No camps, no retreats, youth activities pretty much shut down. What else? Do what? Everything.
Virtual school for everything.
Anything and everything you had planned just gone like that.
Yeah. Virtual school, everything that you were looking forward to just kind of stopped. The fact that the manufacture of toilet tissue just completely stopped, and you couldn't find it on the shelves for months, or you had to go at like really super early in the morning or really super late in the evening in order to find that, and people were hoarding it, and crazy to think about, and people were making jokes about not having it. was unprecedented. Now, how are y'all? Oh, here's another aspect of something that makes it unprecedented. Um, Mark mentioned this to me um, this week. I'm pretty sure. If we were to tell you that come March 2020, there would not be a Sunday evening worship service for 7 months, would you look at it as crazy? Or for the fact that since March, there hasn't been any children's class for, what was it, 6 months? Around about 6 months?
So,
The fact that it took 4 or 5 months of us, maybe it wasn't 4 or 5, maybe it was like 3 or 4 months of us not having an in-person service. Wouldn't you think we were crazy to say that? Matter of fact, I look back at the beginning when Corona was starting to make not necessarily headlines, but people were starting to talk about Corona. Um, First of all, there was this meme that I didn't realize what it was talking about, and now I do. It was a guy from one of the Office movies or shows, and he says, if we could start calling coronavirus the kung fu virus, thanks. Is kind of this pompous guy. I don't know. I'll show you. I'll find it again, but yeah, right. It happens a lot. But I remember it was like February, very early March, one of those two, and we were preparing for our spring retreat. And I remember someone coming up to me and asking me, "Hey, you have this virus. Are you at all concerned about it? Are you going to like cancel the spring retreat or anything like that?" No, we're still going to go have it. I'm not scared about it. And then like a week or two later, boom, nothing happens. Everything is just completely shut down. So, we're living in what a lot of people, and I remember talking to a lot of people, this is unprecedented times. Football's been canceled, baseball's canceled, basketball is canceled, everything canceled, postponed, this and that, and unprecedented. So the question is how have you been able to adapt and overcome living in an unprecedented world or an unprecedented time?
I still kind of do the same thing, so. There's
Still-
nothing much that changed my daily life. Still gotta go to school.
Not much changed.
Still gotta go to-
I think some things have changed in some way or another. The fact that I'm looking out in the crowd and I'm seeing masks with faces with masks on them, it's a little bit of a change. We're trying to be more cognizant of spatial awareness between other people. For some people, we're seeing some accommodations and being more mindful of washing your hands, and not just after you go to the bathroom, but trying to wash your hands like 50 billion times a day. Hand sanitizer every time you touch something. But like specifically, like what are you doing to overcome what we're having to deal with emotionally, physically, spiritually? What types of things are you doing? I know Steve and I have talked about this. He got into modeling, not like physical modeling, like in front of a picture. Hey, but like building, but building models. And it was something that he got his mind off of things. Some people went to paint. Some people got into technology, and kind of exploring different aspects of technology, um, or the mountain biking or biking in general. The bike manufacturers and just the bicycle market just went skyrocketing when COVID hit. And so people pick up hobbies that way. There's been a lot of different gaming things picking up. So like, what other types of things are you doing to deal with unprecedented times?
I go play basketball.
You'll play ball? Still kind of having that interaction with friends. I know um, some people over in Portland invited Jenny over to have a socially distanced meal. You had drive-by honking parades for birthday celebrations and baby showers, and so we look at all these different things. I want, since maybe that's got you to think about, like, how have you truly dealt with this issue. So the story of Esther, and we're going to pick, we're going to kind of focus in on one verse. I think her mindset and Mordecai's mindset in this one section kind of sums up our application, but kind of give us the background story of the story, the book, this story. So this is after Israel has been taken captive into Babylonian captivity. Babylon has been overthrown by the Medes and the Persians. Okay, and there comes a time where the certain aspects and people of Israel have left and been able to go back to Jerusalem to start rebuilding. We kind of see that in Nehemiah. They start rebuilding certain aspects, the walls and things. Ezra goes back. And so there's this kind of separation between, Israel and the Jews. There's some people who've gone back. There's some who are still in captivity. And Esther is one, and several others who are still in captivity. And so a couple of the other key characteristics are King Azarias, which is the king. And then there is his queen at the time, Queen Vashti. There is a man named Haman, and Esther and Mordecai are in there as well. There's some other lesser known kind of supporting characters, if you will, kind of thrown out through the text, but we'll focus kind of on the broad main storyline and those main characters. So it starts off with King Azarias is throwing this huge party for about 160 days. In this, and one of the things you'll see kind of throughout the text with this particular character, this king, he gets drunk. He gets drunk at the party. He then calls his Queen Vashti over to bring him in front of the entire people to see how good looking she is and to see the beauty and the splendor that is her. She refuses and doesn't go there, doesn't want to do that. And so the king then, by the council of some high-ranking officials around him, says, look, this is going to cause issues with men and women in the kingdom in all these different provinces. So you need to make an example of Vashti and remove her from being queen and have nothing to do with her. And so he gets rid of Vashti. He buys into this. And he brings all these different virgins in place. It's kind of like this beauty contest, this beauty pageant. And eventually Esther is in there. And Esther, as it says in the text, is very beautiful and wins the heart of the king, and she becomes queen. Okay. In chapter, that's all in chapter 2. At the end of chapter 2, we are introduced a little bit further of Mordecai, which is Esther's adopted father. And because Esther didn't have a father and a mother, and so Mordecai overhears an attempt to kill the king and goes and tells Esther, and Esther tells the king, and it's investigated, and Mordecai saves the king. And then we're introduced in chapter 3 to a man named Haman. Haman was brought up into a high prominence in the kingdom. And so he was a high-ranking official under the king, and he wanted everyone to bow down to him. Everyone did except for Mordecai, which caused Haman to burn with envy, to burn with anger. and he set out to have this huge plot to go and kill all of the Jews and all of the provinces and all of the kingdom of the Medes and Persians. And so he goes to the king. There's another feast. They both get drunk. He proclaims this plan. King says, yes, let's do this. And so he sends out this edict to all of the provinces and things. And so they pick a day. And on this day, all the Jews will be wiped out and killed. Now, I forgot to mention, Esther did not tell the king that she was a Jew, that she was born of the Israelite people. So he didn't know her background. So on this particular day, they were going to kill all the Jews. Mordecai overhears this and is trying to understand and kind of wrap his mind around what to do. And in verse 4, they have this kind of conversation that we're going to kind of focus in on here. Basically, Mordecai is going to Esther, look, you need to go in front of the king. Esther kind of questionable because you have to be summoned to go before the king. She's, I don't know if comfortable. She ends up going and doing it. The king hears everything that's going on. The king couldn't sleep. Back up. So Esther has this party with both the king and Haman, and it's a 2-day feast. The king wants to, know what her wish is. She says, "I'll tell you tomorrow." Bring both of them here. Haman sees Mordecai in the courtyard. It causes him to just get more angry at Mordecai. Decides to put this big, huge stake in his yard. That's 50 cubits high, and that's where he's going to kill Mordecai. And so Haman comes back in, was about to tell Mordecai, or not Mordecai, Haman is going into the king, about to tell the king that he wants to kill Mordecai, and the king couldn't sleep that night. Eventually understands and has been read to him what happened to him with Mordecai saving his life, and he begins to ask, hey, what has happened with Mordecai? Was he honored in any way? He says, and Haman's there, no, he hasn't. Haman comes up with this big elaborate thing to honor himself, basically. And you see this switcheroo. So everything is kind of building up Haman, and in chapter 6, it kind of reverses a little bit. And so Haman, thinking all the praise and all the adoration and all these things are going to be put onto him, and then he gives up this big, huge plan, and then King Azariah says, look, all those things that you said, do that to Mordecai, his arch enemy. And so he does, and eventually what comes out of this happening in chapter 7, and into chapter 8, Haman's plot is revealed. He's ended up murdered on the same stake that he was going to kill Mordecai on. And then there's a new edict that the Jews can defend themselves, and all of these people end up, all the people who were rising up against the Jews were killed. Huge long story. It's trying to sum up all 10 chapters of Esther is pretty complicated, y'all. Like I said, understand the story of everything that's gone on. So how can we make this applicable in our day and age today? The fact that Esther has great faith, even though God is not mentioned directly in the text, you see him if you read, and I encourage you to read all of Esther. It only takes you 15, 20 minutes. I'm a slow reader. It took me about that time to read the entire chapter or the entire book. For those who are fast readers, go through there and read the whole entire thing. You'll start to understand the whole entire storyline. But you see that even though God is not mentioned here, he's providentially working in the background. Same type of thing that was going on through the book of Ruth, God working throughout the background. And then I kind of skipped over chapter 4 because this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time. The rest of our time here, which is just 2 minutes. But it says in verse 12, and they told Mordecai what Esther has said. Then Mordecai told them to reply to Esther, do you think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than any of the other Jews? For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such as a time as this. Mordecai is telling Esther, look, do you not think that God put you into this position to save the Jews? You have been put into an unprecedented time. There is a scheme that's come into action. There is something that is going on. There is stress. There is anxiety. There is something that no one else has experienced. Maybe God has put you in your place right now in 2020 to let his light shine and to bring him glory and honor. It's changing the script. It's flipping it upside down. Instead of saying, "Oh, woe is me. Look at what I was not able to experience in 2020. Look at what was taken from this this summer, not being able to do anything." The fact that, and this is just something personal to me. The fact that I have only been able to see my boy in a sonogram one time this entire 8 months. Or 31 weeks, however long that comes out to be. I don't know. I don't do math. We can look at those different ideas and says, "Oh, this is so unfortunate." Or maybe we can flip the script and have that same idea that Mordecai is telling Esther, "Look, maybe you were placed here in this time, at this particular place, in this particular time and event in order to do God's will and to let his light shine." The reason why these two people are on this list, in my humble opinion, and why I picked them, is because they were able to accomplish great things in an unprecedented time. They were able to do something based on the faith that they had, that God put them there. And it's a mindset that we need to have. Instead of saying, what can they do for me? What can you do for God here in this time? If we continue on reading, because I'm running out of time, verse 15, then Esther told them to reply to Mordecai, "Go gather all the Jews to be found in Susa and hold a feast on my behalf, and do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my young women will also fast as you do. Then I will go to the king, though it is against the law." And notice what she says. "And if I perish, I perish." There's a lot of issues going on in our world today. There is a lot of division going on in our world today. There is the Democratic Party and there is the Republican Party. There is black, there are white. There are divisions throughout our world right now, and there is sometimes divisions even within the church. There's sometimes divisions on religion and non-religious. And we can say, "I'm not going to do anything because I'm afraid of what other people may say. I'm not going to stand up for what I believe in because I may lose friends or lose my popularity over it." Esther was scared. She said, "I will go to the king even though it is against the law. I will stand up for my people. I will stand up for my God, even if it's against the law. And if I die, I die." We know the rest of the story. She didn't at the time. And she was okay with dying for standing up for what she knew was right. Sometimes in our life, as young men, as young women, you're going to have to take a stand for what you know is right, even if that causes you to lose someone you love dearly. So the question is are you doing that? Have you done that? It's never too late. You still got the rest of 2020 to make that right in the rest of your life in order to stand up for what you truly believe is right, and that is what we find in Scripture. I want you to end in prayer because I'm starting to hear the adults kind of stir down the hallway. And if Stephen and I can help you in any way, or anybody else here at this church, let us know. And we love you. We care for you so very much. And will you bow with me in prayer? Lord, we thank you so much for all the things that you do. Lord, I thank you for the story of Esther and for Mordecai. Lord, for their faith in you. And Lord, I pray that you help us to have the faith to stand up for what is right, to stand up for you, even if that means losing friends, family, our status, our popularity, or those different things. Lord, help us to make that stand and stand firm in your word and your will. We love you so very much. And Lord, as we fall and we stumble, Lord, I pray that you help us and encourage us to build us up so that we can be stronger in your word and in your faith. We love you and we pray this humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, guys, y'all are dismissed. Head down to